Okay. Okay. We need to get this started. Are you guys ready? Oh, we got contestants and the booths and everything. I turned my back and it's all set up for me. Okay. Take our breath and we'll make another run at it. So it's going well right up to now. Now we're going to do a bit of plumbing and looking at a few different plumbing things. And what we're going to do is, again, in the spirit of maintenance, you got to replace things. Like, for instance, we'll be adding in shut-off valves for the water to the faucet. So you may not have one, but it's possible to cut the pipe and put one in and add a shut-off valve. Now, we're also assuming we had to remove faucets. Somebody came up and said, hey, do a whole show on how to get the old faucet out. And I said, no, we don't have time for that. So we got new faucets to put in, so they go in. I'll show you a one-hole faucet. You guys got two-hole ones coming down. Then we're going to look a little bit at the different piping. We have PEX piping, and we have the drain piping. You've got a drain pipe to put in there. So you got a drain pipe to put in. You got the faucet to install. We already got the tailpipe, which is the water exit from the sink. That's already there. And we didn't bother to put all the hardware with it for the stopper and everything else. But you need to put the ABS in there. So we'll be working with several different piping. We're not dealing with copper at this point, but we'll also be working with speedways. One quick word about speedways. If you have speedways in your house, professional carpenters are getting more and more against most speedways because unfortunately most of them are not made with good steel. And they end up rusting. Understand what the hot water speedway is going through. It's hitting expansion and contraction in extremes from nothing to really hot. And you probably put it in with a kink like that, so you stress it really well because you say, oh, this thing bends all over the place without a problem. And so I always want you to go occasionally and run your hand on your speedway. If it feels rough, it's failing. And when it fails, the fibers start to break loose because they expand and contract and rub on each other, and when they're not good steel, which is the case of most of the boxed speedways that come with faucets. Most plumbers throw those away and then use their own and say, oh, you're just trying to sell me more better speedways. But they need better speedways. But if it's getting rough, it's time to change it, okay? And don't kink it terribly. You can go pretty far, but don't kink it terribly. So speedways were designed to make it faster. That's why they're called speedways, because we used to put hard copper in, and it had to be exactly the right size, and it was kind of complicated to connect up to the sink. So we'll be doing that. So one of the things we're going to start with is the drain pipe. And the drain pipe we're using ABS, and we need to learn how to put this together. In your sink, in the sink itself, you'll see a drain pipe with a union. Okay, so you all got that. Grab it and let's just play with it for a minute. Reason I chose this is because you put it in, don't put it in too hard because you won't get it out. Okay, just put it in a little bit and then look inside and you'll see it has not bottomed out. It hasn't gone, there's a collar in the middle of the union and the joint, it hasn't bottomed out. When you put the glue on, it will bottom out, and you need to bottom out. But you all have a white pin there somewhere, a white crayon, and that with a little shaker in it. That's right. Here's a little trick when you're doing plumbing. When you set up the rough plumbing, it's never perfect because it's not socketed all the way in, but you can get the whole complicated thing with all of the angles and everything set up. And so, okay, that's pretty close to what I want. Then what you do, and you can do that right now for me, is you take your white pin, and we'll say that this is exactly the line I want. Doesn't make really much difference in this particular piece, but as soon as I put an elbow on, it does make a difference. Okay? But I'm going to put a line here and here. And then if you got a whole bunch of pieces, like 5 or 6 pieces before you're going, I'll do it A and A. And by doing that, I can build my whole little monkey set here, and then I can take it apart. I can prepare the pipes. I can glue them one at a time, but by lining my lines up and my numbers up, it fits. Otherwise, you get there and it's like, oh, my angle's not quite right. And once the glue's set, you forget it, you start over, okay? So if you got that mark, then the key that we're going to have to do here, and this is one thing that you will be judged on. Okay? The judges will do it after the fact. They can't see you doing it all, but we're going to put this together. And the judges now are going to come back and look to see, do your lines line up? And have you socketed as far as possible into the inside? Okay, the squarer the cut the pipe, the better it lines up, but it's often not perfectly square. Okay? The key is that we're going to put a solvent in here and quickly put a solvent in here, and then we're going to put them together with a quarter turn offset. The lines don't line up for a quarter turn. You got to go in and twist to line them up. And that spreads the glue out evenly and gives you a watertight joint. Now, don't do it now because you'll never get it apart. Okay? But when you go, but you've got about 5 seconds to do that. So when you're really ready to go, then you get it in, you go in, and you go. But by having marks, you're not sitting there thinking, I think that's about right. Is that straight? You know, you're not guessing. So that's one thing that we can actually do right now, and not on timing. And then the judges can look at your pieces and see if they line up and if they're socketed all the way in. Okay? So what we do, I'll do it for you in front of you, and you don't do it over the hotel rug. You stay up in your house, okay? That's the housekeeper talking. So, we got to look at one thing. We have ABS and we have PVC. And you have a glue. The glue you have says Premier Choix Jaune Cement ABS. Let's try English. No, it doesn't have English. Premium grade yellow ABS cement. Okay, that's ABS to ABS. This one says transparent PVC. And so that's for a PVC pipe. So don't mix those up. What do you do if you have a PVC pipe joining to an ABS pipe? You don't use either of them. You use one that's called PVC to ABS medium white transition cement. So it's not as good as either one on a pure job, but it's a decent joint between the two. And if your pipes are dirty, old, scratched up or something, you take a clear cleanser first. You don't have to do it under normal conditions. But if there's grease on it or something else, you clean it off. And it comes with a brush just like the other one. So we take our ABS, and then let's see, what did I just do? Here it is. I get my joint, so I go to the inside. You simply take, it's a round brush, and the round brush, you notice how I did it so it didn't drip? That's a little trick. Don't hang it downward. Now it drips, it's dripping into the handle. Okay? So then you take that and you just go around like that. Because it's a round brush, it's going to get both sides. And then we're going to go around here. As long as they don't touch, I've got a little bit of time to play. And then you worry about tipping your bottle over. And then you line up. I got to get 45. We've got a camera on me here. We're going to see how good I do this. We go in and over. And it squirted out on the floor. That's why I'm on the Tyvek. Okay. And I think you can see I've got a joint all the way up there, all the way around. And that's a good joint. You can't see that in an elbow, but you get used to the feel of it as you're going along. Now we do have some towels here that my guys will make sure you got a hold of. And pick it up before we walk on it. Okay. Your mother told you that once, didn't she? Okay. So you can do that right now. And you can glue it up. Let's do it. Get that out of the way. And that'll just get us started. And then we'll come back and deal with the rest of the piping. While you're doing that, I'll just talk a little bit about some of the PEX piping and the uses of that. There are various ways to put connectors on PEX pipe. They can't get it open. And that actually belongs to your booth. I stole it. Oh, and there is sandpaper. You could rough it up if you wanted to. If it's a little bit dirty or something, you can give it a little rough up on the edge. Give it a little more bite. It's not like the copper that will have problems with a bite. Yeah. Jessica, can I have a camera? Don't leave this sitting around like this, like I did, okay? Immediately close it up. I guarantee you'll tip it over. You won't tip it over if it's closed. Okay. Now let's talk about our supply piping. Now when we do the contest, you've got a whole bucket full, or under the sink full of the P-trap and all the joints. Put it together. We're not going to glue it. You're just going to hand fit it together and get that in so that we got the trap in. Don't bother to glue the trap. That's just going to get messy. Now, you have supply pipes coming out of the wall of PEX, and we want to put valves on them. So there are various ways to do that. One of them is with the compression fit, which is a compression ring, which is, where's my other ring? It's a, Jessica, you with me? You're there, okay. Compression ring slides over, and it's just a ring like that. Slides over, not right on the edge, 1/8 of an inch left over. I'll show you why in just a second. And then you have a special crimper that, oh, I just dropped my ring, but anyway, special crimper that goes into, and then with a tremendous amount of pressure, that crimper squeezes down and locks it in. Now, you have to be square, you have to be over the entire ring, not part of it, and you have to have an 1/8 of an inch on the edge, or else it doesn't work. Now, that wouldn't even work for you right now, because you'll notice your supply pipes are hugging the wall. So what we're going to use is a different type of crimp, which looks like this when it's all together. And what it is a ring like this with a little nodule sticking out. So that slides over the piece like this. Oh, I wanted to show you. Why do we leave this 1/8 of an inch here? Is because we want the ring to come to the middle of the fitting. If I'm too far up, it's not good. If I'm too far back, it's not good. So we want the ring in the middle of the fitting, so that's an 1/8 of an inch or so left of space there, and then the ring's in the middle of the footing. So you slide this into its right place. I got one on the other end here. Slide it in. It's pretty easy to go in, and then we can crimp that down. Now, this is what you will be doing. You have crimpers like this. If I can get mine to open. By the way, they're made so that you can't open them until you've crimped all the way. So if you crimp part way and stop, you can't get out. It means you haven't gone all the way down. So it forces you to go all the way, and then it releases it to come out. And then the end of this is where you grab it. You put this in like this, and you grab that little wing. So let me just see the okay. Oh, that's good. So you see I insert that in to this piece, and then I come down with that so that, whoop, I've got to go all the way and back. I've got to make sure I'm sitting in there. I've got it in, it's in the right place. I got a hold of it, and then I can come down, and now you got to, until it releases, and it opens up, and now you've got that crimped on permanently. Okay? So you'll be doing that with a shutoff valve. So your shutoff valve goes in there, your ring on first, crimp it down, and you can do it right tight to the wall. You can position that nicely right tight to the wall and get that in. And then that'll crimp on. And then the speedways, when you put your faucet on, they just screw into here. Okay? And this screws into underneath the faucet. And when you're doing your faucets, you're dropping in the faucet. I'm going to show you one just a second that's the one that goes down in a single hole. This is also a single hole faucet right there, isn't it? Do you have, yours are, most of them are double. Yeah, I think so. This guy is single and most of yours are double. This one goes in and these two nuts come underneath and grab it. Okay? And these belong to you, so I'll give it back to you. Oh, you have one? Are you sure? I stole it. Okay? The rest of you will see that you actually have two shafts coming down under the faucets. Yeah, hold it up in the air for me here. And you have two shafts coming out there, and there's nuts that go up on that. Similar to that is a center one like a one-hole faucet like this one. This is a fancy one-hole faucet, and my speedways are built right in as part of the faucet. So they're going to come down and join onto the shutoff valves here. So, and in all of these things, you got to look in the kit and find out there's a cushion of some sort for the top, some sort of collar that goes on the top, protects the top. Then there's a rubber ring and a steel ring that come up, slide up here on this nut there, on the shaft. And then there's some kind of a locking nut that comes up into that. Here I'm missing one screw. You'll notice that. I don't know where it went to. But you drive this nut up close. You don't have to make the nut tight, because in this case, this is a very interesting case that is easier than trying to tighten the nut. This is coming up like that. And when I get close, I drive the screw up on the washer, the steel washer, and it is the clamping action. And so you can't see that, can you? Can we see that? So it's coming. So you see that screw actually moves the metal washer up and clamps the faucet into place. So you can get it approximately in place easily without stressing trying to turn this, which is fun because you guys are going to work hard to get that tight. Okay? But then this way you can come up, and then it's just a screwdriver that finishes it off to the right tension to lock that down. So the hardest thing is working on your back, and we've set it up that Jessica and I are going to go into the floor here, or into the cabinet, and you're probably asking me, how are we possibly going to get me, her, and the camera in here? Well, let's first of all turn on a light. And by the way, you all have a light in your set to be able to see what's going on down there. And as we're going to come down, Jesse, you want to go down to the mirror because we're going to drop in here. You're good there, but you don't see where it's coming from. Oh, you are good. Okay. So you see that coming down? See, that's what happens in television land. We set things up so that we can see through the walls and things like that. And then let's see if I can get in here and actually run this up. So the washer needs to go up, and that's always a little bit of a game to get it to go in right. There we go. That goes up. The nut has to go up, and then I can just screw it on down in there. Let me just get, this is always tight because you got to get one at a time in. That's why they make one longer than the other, is so that you can, they don't try to go through the nut at the same time. Now, this is the part we all love about plumbing. You have to lie on your back in the most uncomfortable position you can possibly imagine. And why a plumber ever invented that, I don't know. What did I lose? Something fell down. And then you got to run this all up into place and try to screw it together. And so you're reaching to the limits of what you're doing and screwing that in. And of course, it's always the first thread bite that is the hardest thing in the world to get. Okay, now that's locked. I won't bother to run it the rest of the way, but that's how we go on up from there. So as you're going up, the one thing I do want to show you is the thing called a speedway that you may have seen or not seen. This is a plumbing wrench that has only one purpose in life, and it has a funny floppy head that goes back and forth. And its purpose is to reach up under a sink like that and grab a hold of a nut like that and turn it with the shaft coming down below. And then you can flip the head and unscrew it. So that's all this thing ever does, but is it amazing when that's what you need to get the job done? Because I'm down here where I can actually work. I'm not trying to have a wrench up here, and it goes a 16th of a turn. It won't even go a quarter turn, and you can't get it tight. You can't comfortable. So the speedway wrench is an essential part of plumbing. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. You're going to put the ABS drain pipes in. You're going to pop the handles in. You're going to add the shutoff valves to the PV to the PEX with the crimpers. and then you're going to connect your speedways. And you got 15 minutes to do that. Are you ready? If you have any questions, you catch any of the team, and we'll help you out. You're good? Okay. And the clock is about ready to go. It's going. Go for it. What? Did they get the wrench? Yes, they did. What? No glue? Oh, yeah. No glue, guys. No glue at this point. We don't glue it. We just that little test piece. Now no glue, because that's just going to take too much time and be too sloppy. It would be great, because we could test if you could line it up right. But we don't have all afternoon. Because actually we're biting into quite a bit. We're doing ABS, we're doing PEX, adding shutoff valves. Shutoff valves, if you've never had them, are the most important thing you can imagine. On the cabinets? Yeah. Yeah, watch out that you don't break the doors off on the cabinets, because they're not the strongest hinges in the world. Is PEX piping good piping? People ask me all the time, does it really work? Because we've had so many scandals in different piping. He says, no, it's not good piping. Oh, he only wants one brand of PEX. Yeah? Yeah, I didn't talk about the expansion collar in PEX, because we didn't get one here. The expansion collar I can show you. Expansion collar is an interesting idea. The PEX line and the expansion collar are tubes that have memory. So if you take the pipe and you put the expansion ring on it, and then you have a little conical device that goes in and opens it up. Okay, so that's a mechanical thing. They now have an electric or manual, and you expand it up, slide your fitting in, and wait a few seconds, and it remembers what it used to do. And that collar adds on to the strength of it and closes it down. And some of them are better than others. But that is a very solid and useful thing, and it's used a great deal because it's even easier than the crimping. Because the crimping is a lot of pressure, and sometimes crimping is hard to get into because of lack of space. I got to show you a tool that I just discovered recently from Linux. It's a plumbing tool, You know, sometimes you get great big nuts or the collars, and you don't want to strip them out with your vice grips or even with your expansion pliers. This particular one slides up and down just like the expansion pliers to open up to big jaws. But then the movement here is a jaw that moves parallel. So it doesn't close, it moves up and down with both faces always in line. So for any real nut, I can size it right to the nut, and I got a firm grip all the way around for large, oversized nuts, which are common in plumbing. And they just sent it to me recently, and I was surprised to see. What you looking for? Huh? Now, some people rather put the drain in last because then it's not in their way. Other people prefer to put the drain in first because if you ever turn the water on, it has someplace to go. Not a lot of room to work in there, huh? He's the plumber?
He is. He's actually a right steel plumber. Yeah.
So how am I doing?
Great job.
Oh, good. Okay. What else would you add? What else would you add? The guy's a plumber, so I asked you.
What, the flexi supplies on the one box we had, the copper supplies?
Yeah?
It's always backed up on that when you're tightening the quick supplies.
Ah, because you could mess up the copper. Yeah. When, on these ones they got it's the solid shaft. But yeah, no, when they're just spindles coming down.
I've done that before.
But do you agree about most of the speedways are garbage?
Oh yeah. It kept me working, it kept me busy.
It keeps you busy. That's right. But no, in Quebec they're trying to actually ban them. And you know, they're working on, and everybody says, oh, you just want to make everything have to go to a plumber. You can't go to the store. But, a hot one. That's it. And everybody assumes, me too, a long time ago, that wonderful metal shield, stainless steel. Of course, they didn't say what sort of stainless steel.
And inside when they break down, the black plugs up all your plugs up things sometimes too.
When they break down inside with chlorine or something. Okay, because you get degeneration of the rubber on the inside. Oh, wow. So what's the secret to living on your back? You need a wife who keeps you massaged at night, right? That's the boss? You don't do that. You think you're done? What are you? 6 minutes. Okay, what do we got? We got speedways. Oh, looks good to me. How was your test run?
Here, I'll turn it on.
No. Actually, it's
Oh, it's on the other.
the white. There it is. Dead center.
Hey,
Isn't that a great way to show to somebody what we're talking about?
it is good.
I thought about, because in an elbow you don't see it, and then they don't realize, and I've seen them that deep fall off,
Right.
and it looked for a while until there was a stress in the pipe. I guess the other thing we should mention on drain pipes is that don't forget to support them. If you come out of the drain pipe and run across the basement, and it's held here and it's held over there, it'll sway back, particularly if you're running hot water in it, and you'll eventually get it won't drain anymore. Or the worst one was a a straight drop from a sink into the basement, and then it just blew out the whole trap down below.
We saw one crack at the elbow.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like a kitchen sink drain, right at the elbow, right directly below it. Cracked.
And who was clean? Who had a home do-it-yourself snake that was
Yeah.
jamming it down there? You see that? Lots of times. I had somebody where I was going to their house for something else, and she says, "Oh, I have a broken sink," and I looked at her porcelain. It was very similar to this one, but all cracked, smashed. And I said, "What was that?" She said, "I got mad when the snake didn't work, and I hit the thing with a broomstick." At least she admitted that it wasn't the manufacturer's fault. Well, you guys are good enough that we should have had you glue the whole thing up. Oh, yeah, that's complicated stuff. Yeah, we didn't put that in. We did that on purpose.
All right.
No, that was going a step too far. When it took me a long time to figure out how they assemble, that was enough. Yeah, the toilet got scrapped. Jessica, you want to shoot right here, up on the stage? There's one thing that we're skipping for time while we're just finishing up. I just want to mention a couple of details about toilets. Is that the toilet flange has to go a certain distance away from the wall, and most flanges are screwed into place, and they have to be screwed in right. This one is interesting because it rotates, so it gives me a possibility of adjusting. But before you screw the final screws down, you have to make sure that you are able to put the nuts in such a way that they're exactly the same distance from the wall. They're not exactly important at what distance, that has to be the right distance for the whole thing. But the most important part is it's the same distance, because if you get that off a little bit, the toilet goes off on an angle. Okay? And then, of course, none of the rest of it works very well. And so that's one key thing there. And the second is the wax ring. Right. You can stay here, Jessica. The wax ring is the gadget that's either wax or wax and plastic like this one that drops in here, and then your toilet goes on it. You all know that. Now, the thing is, can you pull the toilet off and use the same wax ring? Okay? Not a good idea. What happens if you're 3 days away from a new wax ring? Okay? One of the ways to cheat a wax ring, if it's not really damaged, is to squeeze it so that it gets fatter. Squeeze it in a little bit so it gets a little bit higher. So when you put the toilet on, it squeezes back down. Don't deform it too much, but just don't take it, because where it was settled there's no more squeeze. And if you pull it off, then you don't have a seal. So if you force it back into a higher wax, then you can actually cheat that at least enough to get by for a while. So wax rings, ideally, every time you lift the toilet, you change the wax ring. Don't be cheap. And the ones with a collar on it are much better because they don't leak. Are we all done? No, we're not quite done. Okay, one last tip on toilets. Let me give you a little toilet repair. Your wax ring goes here, the rim sits on the floor, and the toilet wobbles. Okay? It wobbles partially maybe if you haven't squished down the wax ring all the way, and so you got to kind of work it into the wax ring and get it down. But you got an old crummy house, and everything's moving, and you can't get it. So you have a temptation that you want to start shimming the toilet, which isn't a bad idea. It's better than letting it rock in terms of going on. If you really want to fix it up, here's a drastic solution that I find that works. A little hard on renovation afterwards, but you take some candle wax and you wax the rim totally, all the way around. Everything that's going to touch the floor, you wax it so it's heavy coat of wax. And you take a pencil and outline the floor with that same pattern. And then you take PL Premium, which is a construction adhesive that dries rock hard and is water impervious. And you put a careful bead of PL Premium on the floor that will stick to the floor, and you very gently set your toilet onto it and let it just settle into place. Push it gently down, and don't touch it for a couple of days. Then you can, with a little bit of wriggling, you can lift it up because the wax will separate from the PL Premium. The PL Premium will be perfectly level rim foundation for the toilet to sit on. Okay? Now, when you want to put in a new toilet, you got to scrape all that stuff off, which is not too cool. But it does get you so that you can actually get that toilet, because if a rocking toilet is going to end up to be cracked porcelain someplace. And remember, it's porcelain. Whether you're tightening bolts here, you do them firm. But that's it. Count on the weight. Okay? If you go too tight, you put stress, and at some point, somebody wiggles, and it cracks. Are we all finished? The time is up. Judges are working. Have you decided, judges? Not yet. Okay. You're ready?
Yes.
Okay, who's the winner?
The first place goes to team number 2, right here.
Team number 2. First place, yay. They were done really fast.
And the second prize goes to team number 1.
Hey. Okay, we've got one more challenge coming up in a little while. That is going, what is the timeline here? We're running late today. What are we at? 3:30, 3:40, and we're supposed to start the next one at 3:20. Okay, we're supposed to start the next one 10 minutes ago.
We have a couple of booths that want to announce a prize, if you don't mind announcing.
Hang on, we got some prizes that they announced from the exhibition center. And any of you that want to participate in the last one, which is working on the doors, make sure you see Savalio. What do we got for prizes here?
All right. So Olympic booth 32.
Olympic booth 32.
So our first prize,
Fir-
first place was Brian Joseph.
Brian Joseph. He won first place. Brian Joseph. What does 26 pounds mean? That's the
size of
fish he
muskie
caught?
he fought.
That's the, okay. Do we have Brian Joseph here? Well, we'll have to run him down.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where the booth is.
And you have a
And
second place?
Second place was Marcel Beardy.
Marcel Birdie got second place. Hey!
Come to the booth and we'll get your prize. But come here for a second. Pull a name out of there. Just one. Okay, don't go away. I got to get to that one. I can't read that.
You can't read that? Slimmest South. No, I can't either. Can you read that?
Don Marion.
Don Marion?
Yep.
Don Marion, are you here?
Got a gift card for you. Pull one more out of there for me.
No, this is a gift card. Okay. Don Marion on a gift card.
And that
And
one we can read.
Chris Marcos? Mardo?
It's from the Olympic Chris Marikel,
Marakel, maybe? MB,
NBC.
MBC. Chris Miracle? No? He's not here. We got a right name, but he's not here.
No, pull
Okay.
one more then.
Okay, pull another one.
You're doing a lot of work here. Andrew Jameson.
Andrew Jameson. Andrew Jameson, are you there? He's not here either. You wanna go till we find somebody?
Well, one more.
Okay. Which is Hilda Quinance? Aquinance. Hilda Aquinance. Black Soul. Aqua. Okay.
Well, we'll hold it there.
We'll hold it there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, we got more. We're getting a whole bunch of prizes. Come up to the toilet. What do we got?
It's a Milwaukee Joe driver set.
Milwaukee driver set. Let's see. Jan Eeks. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay. Barry Brooks. Okay. Come on up. Geez, we got a parade here. It's Christmas time. What are we giving away?
FMB, it's a blanket.
Blanket, FMB. Okay. Dale Murphy. Title, Director. Dale Murphy? Dale Murphy? Not there?
Okay.
Okay, you'll find him. Okay. And what is this?
First Nations Housing Professional Association,
First Nation Housing Professional Association, and they're going to win
a one-year membership.
a one-year membership. Oh, okay. Kedion Stone?
Yeah.
That you, Kedion? But it's her friend. Okay. 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 So let's take about 15 minutes from now. We'll get into doing the doors. And if you're a participant in the door one, come here sooner so we get all set up and running.